You're sitting at your computer, right? Just staring at a screen.
Oh yeah, we've all been there.
You've just finished typing out an email. Maybe it's this critical job application, or maybe it's a pitch for a massive new project, or just, a deeply personal message you've been putting off for weeks.
And you read it?
Exactly. You read it once, then you read it a second time, then a third. And you hover your mouse over the send button, and suddenly, there it is.
Yep, that tiny, lightning-fast hesitation.
Or, picture yourself in a meeting. You have this genuinely great idea, but right as you open your mouth to speak, this quiet little voice whispers, am I wrong?
Am I actually good enough to be the one saying this?
Right. And it is such a fleeting fraction of a second, but it carries, incredible weight.
Oh, absolutely. It paralyzes the finger over the mouse. It catches the words right in your throat.
It's the classic universal experience of self-doubt. And society, pretty much everywhere we look, tells us that this specific feeling is just a glitch in our system.
Right, it's a defect.
Yeah. We're constantly sold this idea that self-doubt is this toxic weakness, like a lack of confidence that you need to crush or life hack away or somehow banish from your mind forever.
But that's not exactly the whole story.
No, it's not, which is why today we are taking a deep dive into this brilliant stack of source material, specifically excerpts from a fascinating text called Von Bundik Done.
Which roughly translates to pasted text.
Right, pasted text. And our mission today is to completely rewire how you view that exact moment of hesitation. We're pulling self-doubt out of the personal weakness trash can.
I love that phrasing.
Yeah, we're examining it for what it truly is, which is a profound psychological, biological, and philosophical feature of human freedom.
And to fundamentally shift that perspective, we really have to start by zooming out. We need to examine the invisible environment we're operating in.
You mean beyond just the physical office or the living room you're sitting in?
Exactly, your existential environment. The French philosophers Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus, they spent decades wrestling with this specific problem.
Oh man, yeah, they did.
And Sartre captured it in this famous, deeply intense phrase. He argued that human beings are, quote, condemned to be free.
Wait, a condemnation?
Yeah.
Because usually we talk about freedom as the ultimate human prize. Calling it a sentence you have to serve sounds almost contradictory.
It does, but think of it like being dropped into the driver's seat of a car. And this car is going 70 miles an hour, but there are no lines on the road.
Oh, wow.
There are no street signs, and nobody handed you a map. The condemnation is that sudden, sweaty-palmed realization that you have to steer.
But there's no instruction manual.
Right. There's no universal guide guaranteeing that if you take a left turn, you will arrive at a happy life. We're forced to make choices constantly.
From our careers to our partners to, our daily habits.
Exactly. But we're doing it in the dark. We have to choose, but we can never be 100% certain that our choice is the correct one.
That's terrifying.
Camus pointed out that this is the ultimate human paradox. We are creatures desperately wired to seek absolute certainty.
Stuck in a universe that simply refuses to provide it.
You nailed it.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because understanding intellectually that the universe doesn't hand out instruction manuals, that's one thing.
Sure.
But actually living with that reality day to day feels physically terrible.
Right.
It's not just some cool thought experiment to ponder over coffee.
No, not at all.
It literally feels bad in your body when you don't know if you're making the right call. So why does our biology reject this lack of certainty so aggressively?
It really comes down to the ancient, survival-driven wiring of our brains. In psychology, there's a powerful mechanism known as the need for cognitive closure.
Cognitive closure, okay.
Yeah, our brains absolutely despise ambiguity. From an evolutionary standpoint, ambiguity meant danger.
Like if you weren't sure what that rustling in the bushes was.
You didn't sit there pondering the possibilities, right? You assumed it was a tiger and you ran.
Better safe than sorry.
Exactly. And today, the brain still operates on that exact same hardware. It wants an answer, and it wants it immediately.
Even if that answer isn't necessarily the most accurate one.
Yes. When you're faced with an unanswered question about yourself, your brain interprets that lack of closure not as an intellectual puzzle, but as a form of physiological tension. It triggers this subtle but very real warning signal.
So wait, the brain is treating a lack of an answer the exact same way it treats a physical threat.
Yeah, it generates a low-level stress response. Cortisol starts dripping into your system. And the fastest way for your brain to shut off that stressful alarm is to just jump to a firm conclusion.
Oh, which explains why people are often so incredibly quick to adopt rigid, unyielding beliefs.
Exactly. Once you decide you, quote unquote, know something for sure, the tension evaporates. You feel stable. You feel safe.
But self-doubt does the exact opposite.
Right. It walks into the filing cabinet of your brain,
Yeah.
pulls out a file you thought was completely closed and settled, and just dumps it all over the floor.
And your brain reacts to that by throwing a physiological fit.
Spot on.
The source material actually provides these incredibly visceral, relatable examples of this happening in real time. It talks about the student who just finished a grueling exam.
Oh, that's a great example.
Right. They're walking home, feeling relieved, and suddenly a thought pops up. Wait, did I carry the one on that math question?
And it spirals from there.
Totally. From that single tiny crack, the whole dam gives way. Did I misread the essay prompt? Did I completely fail the entire course?
And the exam is already over.
Exactly. There is literally nothing they can do to change it, but it ruins their entire evening. Or, think about the anxiety after sending a text message to someone you're dating.
Oh no, the waiting game.
Yes. You don't get a reply for 3 hours and suddenly your brain is just spiraling. Did I sound weird? Are they ignoring me?
What's fascinating about those examples is how perfectly they illustrate what psychologists call the Zeigarnik effect.
The Zeigarnik effect?
Yeah. It dictates that our brains remember uncompleted or interrupted tasks significantly better than completed ones.
Really?
Yes. So when you doubt a choice you've made, you are essentially creating an uncompleted task in your own mind. The story doesn't have an ending yet.
Oh, it's like having a browser tab open in the background of your brain that's quietly playing annoying music.
And you can't find it to close it.
Yes, the thought just loops and loops, hijacking your mental bandwidth because the brain is desperately trying to close the loop to feel safe again.
Precisely.
But I want to draw a massive distinction here, though, based on something really compelling in the source material. Because not all doubt feels like a blaring alarm.
What do you mean?
Well, if I'm sitting down reading a dense nonfiction book and I doubt the author's premise, or even if I doubt my own ability to grasp a complex physics theory, that unclosed loop doesn't give me a panic attack.
Right. It's an objective problem.
Yeah, it actually feels intellectually stimulating. It's like working on a crossword puzzle. But if I doubt myself, if I doubt my career path or my core personality, it feels entirely different. It feels like an actual, tangible threat.
That's a huge difference, yes.
I like to think of it like this. If my personal identity is a house, intellectual doubt is just me standing in the living room debating whether to change the wallpaper.
Okay, I like that.
But self-doubt feels like a 7.0 magnitude earthquake violently cracking the structural foundation.
That analogy hits the nail on the head. That's exactly why self-doubt carries such an unbearable psychological weight. It threatens the foundation of who you believe you are.
It's the bedrock.
Exactly. René Descartes, the 17th century philosopher, essentially birthed modern philosophy through this exact mechanism.
Oh, right, with the whole doubting everything experiment.
Yes. He sat alone in a stove-heated room and decided to systematically doubt absolutely everything. He doubted his senses, his education, the physical world around him.
Just to see if there was one single thing he could know for absolute certain.
Right. But Descartes' own writings show that this process was deeply physically agonizing. It strips away all your protective layers. We are generally quite comfortable accepting that our trivia knowledge might be flawed, but accepting that we might be fundamentally flawed, that shakes the bedrock.
Because it threatens the entire story we've spent our lives writing about ourselves.
Precisely. And Friedrich Nietzsche offered a razor-sharp insight into this human vulnerability. He suggested that we don't fear the truth because it hurts practically.
Then why do we fear it?
We fear the truth because it possesses the unique power to collapse the carefully curated stories we tell about ourselves.
Oh, wow.
Think about it. If your entire self-worth and identity are built on the narrative that you are the smart, capable one in your family, then a moment of intellectual failure isn't just a simple mistake.
It's an existential crisis.
Yes. If you believe you are the strong, unwavering leader, a moment of hesitation feels like your very identity is dissolving. You aren't just afraid of making a wrong choice. You are terrified of the psychological freefall of no longer knowing who you are.
So if our biology is already hardwired to panic at uncertainty, and our psychology treats doubt like an earthquake, you would think society would be somewhat forgiving of it, right?
You would hope so.
Like, we'd build systems that accommodate the fact that nobody really knows what they're doing. But we do the exact opposite. We take that natural biological fear and we literally pour gasoline on it.
We really do.
From childhood, we are bombarded with the cultural mandate to project absolute, unwavering certainty. Every self-help book, every inspirational movie montage, every commencement speech hammers home the exact same message.
Believe in yourself. Never doubt your instincts.
Unshakable confidence is the only key to success. And here's where it gets really interesting, because this is wildly paradoxical when you actually look at human history.
How so?
Well, the greatest human endeavors, the scientific method, philosophy, groundbreaking art, critical thinking, literally all begin with the admission of doubt.
That's a great point.
Science is just formalized doubt. You assume you don't know how something works and you test it, yet modern society punishes it.
It's an overwhelming, suffocating cultural narrative. And while it might originate from a well-meaning desire to encourage resilience, it creates a massive toxic side effect.
A relentless pressure to always have the answers.
Exactly. In a modern society that worships unwavering confidence, self-doubt gets aggressively, systemically rebranded as a fatal symptom of incompetence. The French philosopher Michel Foucault provides the perfect framework for understanding why we outlaw doubt anyway.
Oh, I'm vaguely familiar. What was his take?
Foucault wrote extensively about how societies are governed by invisible norms. These are unspoken rules that dictate what a capable or successful person is supposed to look and sound like.
Okay, so like the unwritten rules of the game.
Right. In a modern corporate boardroom or in the political arena or even in just casual social dynamics, the invisible norm demands absolute certainty. If you're a manager or an expert, the unspoken rule is that you must project that you have the entire situation figured out.
Even if you are internally panicked.
Especially then.
Oh, I see exactly how this plays out. If you walk into your annual performance review and channel your inner Socrates by saying, I know that I know nothing.
You're not getting a promotion.
No. You aren't getting praised for your profound intellectual honesty. You are getting put on a performance improvement plan immediately.
You'd be shown the door.
Huh.
Socrates considered his willingness to doubt himself to be the pinnacle of intellectual integrity. Today, that exact same honesty is viewed by the market as a massive liability.
Which is so messed up.
It is. Consequently, people learn to perform. They learn to project an armored exterior of certainty while their internal world remains entirely chaotic and uncertain. This leads right back to Camus.
How does Camus tie back in?
He observed that we move through life playing these heavily defined roles. We act the part of the decisive executive, the put-together parent, the brilliant creative.
It's like we are all showing up to work every day wearing these incredibly heavy, rigid, uncomfortable costumes, and we are absolutely terrified that someone is going to unzip the suit and realize there is just a confused kid underneath who's making it up as they go.
Exactly.
And because everyone else is wearing their costumes so convincingly, we look around and assume we're the only ones faking it.
Which creates a silent epidemic of hidden doubt. We compare our own messy, doubt-filled, behind-the-scenes reality to everyone else's carefully curated highlight reel.
Man, that makes the experience of self-doubt unbelievably lonely. So I want to ask you, the listener, a direct question right now. Think about your average Tuesday. How much raw energy are you spending just pretending you don't have questions?
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
Right. How much of your daily mental bandwidth is entirely dedicated to maintaining the illusion for your coworkers or your family that you are absolutely certain about what you are doing?
The sheer exhaustion of maintaining that performance is staggering. And the tragic irony is that almost everyone in the room is doing it simultaneously.
Completely isolated from one another in their shared, unspoken uncertainty. But the performance can never last forever, right? The source text paints this incredibly moody, evocative picture of what happens when the heavy costume finally slips off.
The quiet moments.
Yes. It happens in the quiet moments. You are entirely alone. Maybe you are on a long drive on a dark, empty highway. Or it's 2 a.m. and you are just staring at the bedroom ceiling.
We've all had those 2 a.m. moments.
You're lying there, and 10 minutes ago, your biggest concern was whether you should get up and eat that leftover pizza in the fridge. But the noise of the day fades. The societal roles vanish.
You aren't the manager or the parent or the expert right now.
You are just you. And suddenly, out of nowhere, the big, heavy, terrifying questions drop in. Am I actually on the right path? Am I living true to myself? Or am I just blindly following a script someone else wrote for me?
This raises an important question, actually, because those 2 a.m. moments bring us right back to Sartre's realization of our condemnation to freedom.
The existential environment we talked about earlier.
Right. When the roles and the costumes are stripped away, what is left underneath is a terrifying existential void. Sartre argued that these specific, quiet moments of doubt are when we actually brush up against our own radical freedom.
It's when we realize we're actually the ones driving the car.
Exactly. We suddenly realize that the roles we play, the career we chose, the social standing we protect, they aren't biologically attached to us. They're simply choices we made. And the terrifying mechanical reality of choices is that if you chose them, you have the power to unchoose them.
That right there is the real reason we run so fast from self-doubt. It's not just that it feels bad in the brain, it's that if we actually sit in the quiet with that doubt and we admit to ourselves that maybe our current path is wrong, then we are obligated to change.
And change is incredibly painfully expensive.
Yes, if you look at your life at 2 a.m. and admit you were in the wrong career, you might have to start over from the bottom.
You lose all that accumulated status.
Right. If you let yourself doubt your relationship and realize it isn't working, you have to break a shared life apart. Leaving a comfortable, known path requires stepping out of a warm house into a blizzard of total instability.
The cost of arriving at the truth about yourself is always high.
It is so much easier, so much safer to just bury the 2 a.m. doubt, wake up the next morning, put the costume back on, and keep playing the role.
The great Russian novelist Fyodor Dostoevsky captured this specific human tragedy perfectly. He observed that humans possess a deeply ingrained, almost magnetic tendency to prefer a familiar, stable illusion over an unstable truth.
Better the devil you know.
Exactly. It isn't because people are foolish or weak. It's because psychological stability provides a profound, comforting sense of safety. When you let self-doubt fully into your mind, it shatters that safety glass.
It strips away all your excuses.
It forces you to take ultimate, unshielded responsibility for your own life. Going back to our earlier analogy, if there is no map and you realize you've been driving in the wrong direction for 10 years, there is no passenger in the car to blame.
There's no one to fix it but you.
Right. That sudden, stomach-dropping realization of total responsibility is what philosophers call the existential drop.
The existential drop. It's like that roller coaster sensation when you crest the hill and realize gravity is fully in charge now.
That's exactly how it feels.
So what does this all mean? Let's synthesize all of this. Doubt triggers a biological stress response. It is aggressively outlawed by society, and it forces us into a terrifying existential drop where we have to take total responsibility for our lives.
That's a heavy list.
It really is. How on earth do we actually live with it? Because if we just sit in the existential drop, terrified of making the wrong move, we'll never do anything. We will just be paralyzed.
That is the crucial pivot we have to make. We must differentiate between doubt that prompts vital preparation and doubt that metastasizes into paralysis. Nietzsche issued a stark warning about this.
What do you say?
He wrote that while we absolutely must cultivate the courage to endure uncertainty, too much unchecked doubt essentially rots the human will to act.
Oh, like a writer who desperately wants to author a novel, but they are so consumed by the looping question of, am I truly a good enough writer, that they literally never type a single word.
Exactly. In that scenario, the doubt has stopped being a tool for intellectual inquiry and has become a brick wall. If we refuse to ever doubt ourselves, we become blindly arrogant and dangerous. But if we only doubt ourselves, we freeze entirely.
So how do we actually thread that needle on a Tuesday morning when we have a decision to make? What's the practical move here?
This is exactly where the ancient philosophy of Stoicism shifts from theoretical reading to a highly practical, everyday toolset. Think of Stoic thinkers like Epictetus, or more specifically, the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius.
Marcus Aurelius is like the ultimate stress test for this theory. Here's a man who was literally the most powerful human being on the planet at the time.
Right, he commanded armies.
He could do whatever he wanted, and 1,000 sycophants would line up to assure him he was absolutely right about everything.
Yet if you read his private journals, which we now know as meditations, he's constantly ruthlessly questioning his own thoughts. He deliberately manufactures doubt.
He does it on purpose.
Yes. He interrogates his impulses, his ego, and his judgments. But, and this is the vital mechanical difference, he isn't doing it to punish himself or to spiral into 2 a.m. anxiety.
Okay, so why do it?
He's using doubt as a sharp instrument to pierce through his own illusions and stay awake to reality. The Stoics didn't try to life hack doubt away. They fundamentally changed their relationship to it. They accepted it as the natural, healthy mechanism of an awake, thinking mind.
So they didn't wait for certainty, they just changed the question they were asking themselves.
Precisely. Another prominent Stoic, Seneca, pointed out a massive flaw in how we process anxiety. He noted that we suffer far more in our own imagination than we do in actual reality.
Oh, isn't that the truth?
When we are paralyzed by self-doubt, we are almost always projecting ourselves into an imaginary future. We are vividly visualizing all the ways our project might fail, or how our peers might judge us, or the mistakes we might make.
Creating problems that haven't even happened yet.
Exactly. And Seneca reminds us forcefully that the imaginary future does not exist. The only thing that actually exists, and the only thing you have an ounce of control over, is your present action.
I really want to highlight the mechanics of this for you, the listener, because this is the ultimate actionable takeaway from the source material.
Yeah.
The Stoic strategy is not about doing positive affirmations in the mirror until you feel 100% confident to make a move.
That magical day of total certainty is never going to arrive.
Never. Instead of asking yourself that paralyzing, unanswerable question, am I absolutely right? You change the prompt. You look at the situation and ask, what is the most reasonable, integrity-driven action I can take in this exact moment, armed with the limited, imperfect information I currently have?
It completely shifts your mental focus from the impossible task of seeking absolute certainty to the highly manageable task of acting with integrity in the present second.
The source text uses two brilliant contrasting examples to illustrate this: a surgeon and a writer.
Yes, I love this part.
A surgeon, stepping into a highly complicated, high-stakes operating room, might have a sudden flash of profound self-doubt. Can I actually pull this complex procedure off? But if they stand there paralyzed, waiting for the biological stress of doubt to fade away, the patient on the table suffers.
Right. So what do?
They acknowledge the doubt, they scrub in, they rely on their preparation, and they operate anyway. And the writer doubts their manuscript will ever be published or loved, but they sit down at the keyboard and type the next chapter anyway.
They act despite the unclosed loop.
Exactly. I like to visualize it like climbing a massive mountain. Self-doubt isn't a giant boulder blocking your path to the summit. It is simply a very cold, biting wind blowing against you on the mountain.
Is the wind uncomfortable?
Yes.
Does it make the physical act of climbing harder? Absolutely.
But you don't pitch a tent and wait for the wind to permanently stop before you take your next step. You just zip up your jacket, you carry the cold wind with you, and you keep moving your feet forward.
That is a phenomenal way to internalize it. You carry the doubt with you. You refuse to demand that the atmosphere change its rules before you engage with your own life.
Because the cold wind is just part of the atmosphere. It's a fundamental part of being alive and outside. So to bring this deep dive in for a landing, I want to remind you that the most seemingly confident people walking the earth right now, the visionary CEOs, the brilliant artists, the leaders you admire, they all have those terrifying 2 a.m. moments staring at the ceiling.
Every single one of them feels the cold wind.
Self-doubt isn't a glitch in your mental software. It is an absolute required feature of living an examined, intentional life. It means you are actually paying attention to the road. Going all the way back to Sartre, we are not finished, static products. We are a continuous, messy, wonderfully incomplete process.
And fully embracing that ongoing process means making peace with the stark reality that life will never, ever offer you complete certainty. There is no hidden instruction manual waiting to be found.
But that exact lack of an instruction manual is precisely what makes your life yours to design.
If every choice came with a guaranteed outcome, you would just be a robot executing a script. You wouldn't be free. The discomfort of doubt is simply the mandatory price of admission for the freedom to author your own path.
The price of admission for freedom. I love how that reframes the entire struggle. So, we're going to leave you with one final, lingering thought to mull over as you go about the rest of your day.
Something to sit with.
Yeah. It's a provocation drawn right from the closing lines of the source text, and it flips this entire cultural obsession with confidence completely on its head. Imagine you wake up tomorrow morning, you get out of bed, and you suddenly realize you have absolutely zero doubt. None.
Total certainty.
You are completely certain about yourself, your choices, and your future. Would you celebrate that moment as the ultimate victory of self-confidence? Or would you be terrified by the realization that you have simply stopped asking questions about your own life?
A life without a single question left to ask might just be the most terrifying existential drop of all.
Think about that the next time you feel that tiny hesitation before hitting send. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.